It should come as no surprise. It should come as no surprise that DC Comics has decided to do away with not only heterosexuality, but also with the American way in pretty much the same week. But in the same week that they announced that John Kent, the son of Clark Kent, is a homosexual, let's be honest. A lot of people are going to say he's bisexual. Look, bisexual is homosexual. If you're having sex with both guys and girls, and you're a guy, and you have sex with guys, you're gay. Sorry. I didn't write the rules. In any event, not only did they make the character gay, but now he's an activist, but not American citizen. He is a global citizen. It's literally the Alex Jones globalist agenda dumped into Superman comic books. This abusive relationship between the comic book reader and the comic book publisher needs to end. At what point do you finally just stop giving these people money? When do you stop? When do you say enough is enough? When they personally come to your house and spit in your face, spit in the face of your children, is that finally going to be enough? What more do they need to do? What more does Marvel need to do? They're trying to indoctrinate your kids. They are literally taking things with 80 years of history and deciding, you know what? We don't like this. We're going to change it because we feel like it and it's modern day. So this is what they wrote from Fandom. This is from Jim Lee, who is, one of the highest level bosses in DC Comics. This is a statement from the DC Fandom. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. With a nod to the past and an eye towards the future, it was announced today at DC Fandom that Superman's motto is evolving to truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Superman's motto of truth, justice, and a better tomorrow will better reflect the global storylines that we are telling across DC and to honor the character's incredible legacy of over 80 years of building a better world, said DC Chief Creative Officer and Publisher Jim Lee. Superman has long been a symbol of hope who inspires people from around the world, and it is that optimism and hope that powers him forward with this new mission statement. The new motto, which will be used in main continuity for Clark Kent's Superman, will be featured across all mediums, including comic books, film, TV, video games, and more. As comic book fans already know, the DC multiverse has featured multiple Superman over the years, sometimes even at the same time. In honor of the real world superheroes who are striving to make this world a better place, the next generation of Superman characters like John Kent will be fighting for truth, justice, and a better world, as introduced in Superman Son of Kal-El #1. So again, when will you have enough? When will you have enough? I mean, Jim Lee, who I believe is he Korean or is he Chinese? I forget which one. But it doesn't really matter which one does it. Because if he's Korean, let's say he's Korean, then who supports the freedom of South Korea? The United States. Let's say he's Chinese. What flag was the people of Hong Kong flying during their Chinese repression just last year? It was the American flag. Whose flag were the Canadians flying when they were asking for help from their tyrannical government? It was the American flag. And they spit in your face and told you the American way is not enough. I don't buy Superman comics, so I don't care. This isn't for me. This is for you. If you were just going to be, man, it's cool. They writing Superman to have his kids taken away from him, taken to space and aged up 10 years. He's been essentially Lois Lane's purse holder for 3 years. Then they took his son and made him gay. And now truth, justice, and the American way have been stripped away from him. What more can they do? What more can they do? What more do they need to do before you finally stop giving these people your money? When will you stop? If you've never bought a Superman comic, good for you. Because look, all the stuff you bought in the past, all the lunch boxes, all the video games, everything that you did in the past is funding today's propaganda. And that's why I'm out of the comic book game. I'm probably going to finish this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin series, and then that's it for me when it comes to American comic books. I really don't want to buy anymore. Because it's not just because of stuff like this, it's because the quality has diminished to the point where it doesn't justify the cost. As comic books become niche, and I'm talking super niche, some of these comic books now are $7 or $8. The Ninja Turtles thing, the Last Ronin, it's $9 a pop. Now it's prestige format. It's like it's a little bigger and a little thicker than a normal comic book. So, but still, it's $8.99, and it doesn't even come out regularly. So that should tell you how much they care about the audience. I mean, the book comes out quarterly, it seems. Every 3 months, there's going to be a new book. The last issue will be out in February. And then for me, that's it. I won't need to buy American comic books anymore. It won't take for them to make Spider-Man some one-legged Filipino lesbian to get me to that point. When you are decidedly against things that I stand for, I don't see any reason to keep giving you money. And look, I'm not just talking about DC. I'm talking about Marvel too. And to be quite honest, I'm talking about all of them. The comic book industry now exists it exists to the point really as an IP farm for Hollywood. That's really the only reason it exists. Otherwise, they probably would have closed the comic book industry a long time ago. It doesn't really generate money. There really are no new fans. It's hard to even get young people to sit down and read a comic book. And it's only 22 pages. And they have little to no interest. They would rather watch a movie. But that's really where this stuff is going. If you think it's indoctrination when they put it in a comic book, wait till it's in the movies. Wait until the Superman S is the symbol that they use to indoctrinate your kids. Because they're going to do it. That's what they're doing now. It's not just about Superman being gay. And it's not just about this flag. The American way. Not just about the rainbow flag and the American way. It's not just about that. I have been talking on this channel a lot. And I really only talk about this subject when I come across stuff like this. Because I've been pushing this concept of this cultural graffiti. Cultural vandalism. And if this is your first video, the first time you ever heard me mention it, think of when the Americans went to the moon. What did we do? We put a flag on the moon. Boom. It's our moon. It's not our moon. But we got here and we're going to put a flag here. Okay? When the settlers came from Europe and Spain or whatever, they started building ports. The Indians was probably looking at them like, what are these guys doing? Like they're just building stuff. You're blocking our access to the water. What are you doing? This is the same thing. It is taking something that has existed, that is a cultural institution like Superman, and they have decided Superman is ours. We have planted a pride flag on Superman. We have changed the motto of Superman. We have changed the look of Superman. We have done whatever we wanted to Superman. And you have just kept saying, well, at least we've got the old books. I'll just buy the old stuff. Don't buy anything. Buy nothing. Don't buy any comic books for your kids. Don't take them to see the movies. Get rid of whatever streaming service DC Comics uses. Stop giving these people money. Stop trying to be a collector and I'm going to get the first issue of this John Kent's Boyfriend. So when it goes to the movies, it'll be worth money. You're doing nothing but incentivizing them to keep doing it. Just a month ago, a little over a month ago maybe, they came out and said that Robin was gay. Not Dick Grayson Robin or Jason Todd Robin. The boring Robin. The one who had no personality whatsoever. He's the gay one. So what's next month? Next month we're going to we're going to have some kind of gay Batman, right? Probably the black one that they're creating. Because they're creating a black Batman, by the way. He's probably going to end up being gay. He's going to, end up with a cowl with a ring, with a earring in his tongue or something like that. These people are complete degenerates. And you keep giving them money because you keep hoping things will get better. It's been 5 years of DC and Marvel going full bukkake all over the comic book fandom. And people keep buying this shit. You deserve what you get. You deserve what you get. But I say to kids all over the place, you better learn Japanese. Because that's really where you're going to get your cool stories from. You ain't getting them from the American comic book industry. These people are trash. And they only know how to destroy. They don't know how to create. And the thing that they have chosen to destroy was a cultural institution like Superman. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm never really a big fan of Superman, but I've always supported the concept of Superman existing because he was created to represent small town American values. And I've seen people say, what is the American way? What does that even mean? They getting rid of the American way. So what? What does it even mean? The American way has always been about perseverance. It's always been about individualism, but also collectivism, togetherness, right? Working together in your little small community to make the world a better place. Okay? Or at least to make sure to reduce harm. You're not going to change the world. Superman never sought to change the world. He only sought to protect the world. That was his goal. His goal was not to change hearts and minds. He changed hearts and minds through his own behavior. They have Superman now with a placard standing outside in his Superman uniform protesting climate change. What is... The American way would have said, you know what? Climate change is a problem. I'm going to dedicate myself, put forth the effort, maybe even go into debt to figure out how to fix this problem. Myself, not to go outside and yell at somebody else to fix the problem. When we started to lionize activists, which probably began in the 60s, if we being honest, with Martin Luther King and all these people, right? When we started to lionize activists, our society went to shit because the people complaining about poverty weren't the people providing jobs. The people providing jobs were the rich. They were the people who were helping folks not be poor anymore. When people were leaving their agricultural homes and coming into the cities to work in factories, it wasn't because some asshole stood outside on the street corner with a placard that says pay people money. No, it was because people heard like, oh my God, they need workers and I'm sitting here planting rice. I mean, look at this is what happened with China. China industrialized. All the people left the rice fields and went into the cities to work. That's the American way. Now, of course, China is a communist country, so they perverted everything, but that's just kind of how it is. The American way has always been to look forward for yourself, to go out and seek your own passion, to seek your own success. Unaided, sometimes aided by the government, most of the time unaided by the government, without the concept of a safety net, a social safety net, and all that other bullshit. The American way was always about the work ethic, and it was always about you getting your ass in gear, and making the world the way you want it to be, because you were going to sacrifice your time, your energy, your money to make the world a better place. When Andrew Carnegie wrote The Gospel of Wealth, he was talking about the real American way. Let me read to you a little bit of The Gospel of Wealth from Andrew Carnegie, because I want you people to really understand. Andrew Carnegie, to be quite honest, was not born in the United States. He's an immigrant, right? Andrew Carnegie, a immigrant, I believe he's from Scotland, wrote this in The Gospel of Wealth. Objections to the foundations upon which society is based are not in order, because the condition of the race is better with these than it had been with any others which have been tried. Of the effect of any new substitutes proposed, we cannot be sure. The socialist or the anarchist who seeks to overturn present conditions is to be regarded as attacking the foundation upon which civilization itself rests. For civilization took its start from the day that the capable, industrious workman said to his incompetent and lazy fellow, "If thou dost not sow, thou shalt not reap." And thus ended primitive communism, by separating the drones from the bees. One who studies the subject will soon be brought face to face with the conclusion that upon the sacredness of property civilization itself depends the right of the laborer to his $100 in savings, and equally the right to the millionaire to his millions. To those who propose to substitute communism for this intense individualism, the answer is, therefore, the race has tried that. All progress from that barbarous day to the present time has not resulted from its displacement. Not evil, but good has come to the race from the accumulation of wealth by those who have the ability and energy that produce it. But even if we admit for a moment that it might be better for the race to discard its present foundation, individualism, that it is a nobler idea that man should labor not for himself alone, but in and for a brotherhood of all his fellows, and shall share with them all in common, realizing Swedenborg's idea of heaven, whereas he says the angels derive the happiness not from laboring for self, but for each other. In other words, we've already tried a lot of the backwards stuff that China's communism is a little bit different. Because like I said, it started with the typical American idea. You create a capitalism system. You incentivize people to come work in the factories, they leave the farms. All of a sudden, China's an industrialized nation. All of a sudden, China has a great economy, a decent economy. But the economy is largely controlled by the Chinese government, right? But how did that happen? It happened because the Chinese unleashed the power of the Chinese people, right? That's the American way. When you unleash the power of the citizen, the average person in American society, American societies become better. What we don't never get better is with the concept of, I'm going to force this guy to do what I want him to do by going out there and going to hold me a sign. I'm going to boycott. Boycotting, they never got shit done. But to that point, Andrew Carnegie, again, an immigrant to the United States, he wrote in another book, or another story, or another essay rather, called Thrift as a Duty. In other words, spending is not a duty. Thrift is a duty. Here's what he wrote. The great poet Burns, in his advice to a young man, says, to catch Dame Fortune's golden smile, assiduous wait upon her, and gather gear by every wile that's justified by honor. Not for to hide it in a hedge, not for a train attendant, but for the glorious privilege of being independent. Then he says, that is sound advice. so far as it goes, and I hope the reader will take it to heart and adopt it. No proud, self-respecting person can ever be happy or even satisfied who has to be dependent upon others for his necessary wants. He who is dependent has not reached the full measure of manhood and can hardly be counted among the worthy citizens of the Republic. The safety and progress of our country depends not upon the highly educated, nor the few millionaires, nor upon the greater number of the extreme poor, but upon the mass of sober, intelligent, industrious, and saving workers, who are neither very rich nor very poor. As a rule, you will find that the saving man is a temperate man, a good husband and father, a peaceful, law-abiding citizen. Nor need the saving be great. It is surprising how little it takes to provide for the real necessities of life. Individualism. Taking care of yourself. Through taking care of yourself and your family, you can indeed change the world. This is hard, and you might not see that the change is going to happen within in your lifetime. It may take 3 or 4 generations. It may take 5 or 6 generations. But when my granddad left his humble life in Alabama to move to Detroit, okay, he had 4 children, right? He owned a house when he died. He worked in a factory. He was able to, sure, it's Detroit. Everybody's poor in Detroit. But look where he came from. Depression era Alabama. He died in relative luxury compared to where he grew up. And he was able to do that within his lifetime. And my grandmother did the same thing. The United States gives people the greatest ability to succeed anywhere in the world. That's the American way. And my grandfather lived through Jim Crow. He was around when you had to say yes, sir, no, sir to white people. Yes, he had to get out of the white folks' way when they was walking down the street. But when he was 80 some odd years old, he didn't remember none of that shit. Not because he had dementia or anything, but because the years he spent doing that were few compared to the years he spent taking care of himself and white people calling him Mr. White people called him Mr. longer than he ever had to call a white man Mr. That's the American way. What more do you want? You want heaven on earth? It ain't coming. It ain't going to happen. But they told you that the global agenda is better. So what the hell is the global agenda? What is that? How is that going to benefit some small town guy in Kansas or in Wyoming or, some poorly educated kid in Baltimore? How is he going to feel? How is his life going to be made better? Because, you did all you could for the Indian population on the other side of the world. Those are questions that I have. But if you preach and you tell these people you can do it, it doesn't take Jeff Bezos. Sure, Jeff Bezos has the ability to make other people wealthy. That's the benefit of him being wealthy. But if you can do it too. All you have to do is come up with an idea. Market that idea. Work with other people. Network. Build a life for yourself. That's the American way. Why would you want to replace that? Why would you want to take that away from people? That's what I mean by cultural graffiti. That's what I mean by cultural vandalism. They want to say things like you didn't build that. And I don't know what more to say. How many different immigrant populations have come to the United States? Several 100,000 immigrant populations, from people from poor countries like Jamaica and Haiti to people who come from traditionally rich countries like France and England, from Sweden and Finland, Australians, the Chinese, Koreans, Africans, can all come to the United States and be successful, and all of a sudden the American way is bad? It's not good enough? I don't know what to tell you, man. What more do you want? What more do you want? You want to be able to snap your fingers? You want to live in Star Trek where you push a button and everything you could ever imagine just materializes in front of you? I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Saying to you, the middle class, being independent, being able to create for themselves is what led to American greatness. It leads to some people becoming very rich and being Jeff Bezos. It also leads to some people being very poor and being homeless. But it exists as a way to give the greatest number of people the greatest opportunity to succeed. That is the American way. Whatever they is that they're thinking about when it comes to all these activists and all this bullshit that they're talking about, none of it, especially if it revolves around giving people government stuff, it'll never work. It creates perverse incentives. It says nothing that the people with the most activists in their community, the black community, have essentially high rates of poverty, high rates of unemployment, high rates of illiteracy, because we care more about going on the street corner and barking about better schools than actually creating better schools. That was the American way. The American way is when black people couldn't go to school, we created our own schools. Now we fight to keep failing schools open. Why? We're fighting to keep bad teachers in the schools. Why? Now, how did I get down to this rabbit hole? Well, after talking about a comic book character that I don't really care that much about. What we got here because of cultural vandalism. Because Superman has now had a pride flag tattooed on his chest and it ain't going away. So which way are you going to go, Western man? You can continue buying Superman comic books and they'll probably do something else horrible to him next year or in a couple of weeks, actually. Or you can just let that shit go. And maybe, and I saw a lot of people doing this and I fully support this, you start writing and creating your own shit. Stop. Don't even bother DC. Who cares? Superman is their creation. Let them do whatever they want with it. Do it yourself. That's the American way. The American way is being able to walk away from garbage like DC Comics and all the people who push this kind of agenda.